Right now, we're going to Adam Kramer, BleacherReport.com. How are you, my friend? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
I'm doing well, man. You staying out of trouble down there?
Yeah, I'm trying, but in this business, we have some really good media guys, but then we have some kind of, you know what I mean, like.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I do. I won't name names, but I know exactly what you mean.
Like you and I could sit down, and I'll have my glass of sweet tea, and you'll have your beverage of choice, and we could sit there and talk for like 4 hours about just football and the passion that we have about the game. I mean, dude, if I get 10 minutes out of some of these guys, I feel like I trained myself. So some are good, some are, yeah.
So, and look, we love the sport, right? You could tell, and I'm not saying those guys who maybe give you the cold shoulder, which is lame, by the way. I think there's an elitist complex out there for some. To me, I just love talking football, man. I'll talk football with anybody, and especially I like talking with you because we love talking about Alabama football, man. It's a blast, and I imagine the next 8 months or so will be no different.
All right, so the last time we were talking with you, we asked you what was up. What was some things that you were working on? Well, little did I know, you kind of gave us nothing like a big hint, but you said it's good. All right, so let me ask you, where did the motivation come from for Taulia Tagovailoa?
I pitched this story, I think about 5 days after the national championship ended. So to keep you, these stories do not kind of emerge from thin air. Like I pitched this story about 5 days after, and it took that long to see through. I would look Tua. We and you know this, man. I mean, access to him right now is all, but you're not going to get it. So how can you take part of Tua's story and tell it in a unique way? I love that. And this is not a story about Tua. And by the way, if it was, the Tagovailoa family would not have been involved in this, and they made that clear. And honestly, I respect the heck out of that. But I thought of that when he threw that pass. Okay, his life changed. There are a lot of people whose lives changed. I don't think oftentimes you think about the little brother who, by kind of osmosis, life was changed in that single moment. That's kind of where the idea of the piece originated. And I didn't know going in. I knew he was highly regarded. I don't think I understood how good this kid was. And I think actually after researching this, I don't think maybe people understand how good he can be still. And I think he's got a chance to really show that here coming up with the Elite 11 camp and the opening and all those things. Moments that Tua really started to shine because he played so well.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you brought up that moment because I had no clue, and I kind of wanted to back up and just give Taulia that recruiting chance. But I watched his moment seconds after his brother won that national title, and I knew there was nowhere but Alabama. I don't care who recruited him because they had already bought in as a family to the University of Alabama.
There's no doubt. And look, there's a burden that comes with that as well. Your brother is at Alabama. You live in the heart of it all. And actually, he did say, Taulia said a lot of really nice things about both Alabama and Auburn fans really treating him well. And again, great family and great people around him, clearly. But there's a pressure and maybe a burden that, hey, I have to go do this and play for Alabama. But I think in general, keep in mind this is a family that moved 4,000 miles, to watch their sons play football. And in talking to him, and this is still just a verbal commitment, and he is getting recruited hard now. I do know that. He is getting recruited harder now than he did before he was committed to Alabama, because people think, hey, who knows? But I do know that, this is a kid and a family that just cares a great deal for each other. And in his mind, and he even said this, going to Alabama is the best thing for not just me, but my family. And that's incredible. I mean, again, this is a kid who's a teenager, but so self-aware. And I think in part because he's watched his brother go through this process, he's kind of had to grow up overnight. And also just again, he's got great values, clearly, great parents, great everything. I was blown away in speaking with both him and his father.
All right, so when you look at Taulia, because we know the talent, you and I are all high on Tua Tagovailoa, and we have been, okay? But let's talk about Taulia, because from a skill standpoint, I know you got some quotes here, and you caught up with some folks. This kid's pretty amazing, too.
Yeah, I think the big thing, they're very different players. That's for sure. Tua is a more athletic player. He's a little bit bigger. He's stronger. He's faster. So if you're going to look at it like that, Tua has an advantage, I think, in terms of physical gifts right now. I think that gap will continue to close, though. In terms of arm, I'd say you're probably looking push. Tua may have a slightly stronger arm. And, again, I'm going off what I've seen in people who I've talked to about it. June Jones, who coached Taulia in high school and worked with Tua a bit, spoke very openly about it. What is the part that I think is most exciting, and you can see this with Tua, and everybody says Taulia has the same thing. There's just this kind of unspoken sense of the game, of the pressure. There's just this, when the game turns on, these guys, they just operate better. They're not necessarily practice or camp superstars. They're game superstars. And I know June Jones absolutely loved that. I know Mark Freeman, the head coach, talking to him, absolutely loved that as well. And that's not something you can quantify, but it's something that you can see over and over. Now, the one thing that's really exciting is I think right now Taulia is a more polished passer than Tua was at that time. This is my opinion. Multiple coaches have said he's got the quickest release they've ever seen, ever. Power 5 coaches saying he's got the quickest release they've ever seen. So his game is much more standing back in the pocket. And in talking with June Jones, that was advice he passed on to both of them, not just Taulia, but Tua. When he watched Tua, he said he was probably the best running back in Hawaii. So the temptation obviously was always there for him to take off. But he wanted these guys to sit back and throw. And obviously with Taulia in his last 2 high school seasons, 80-some touchdowns and like 8,000 yards passing, almost at the Hawaii State mark. Like, again, I think that the biggest surprise in doing this is like, okay, maybe a novelty thing, right? The brother and this is a heck of a player. And again, I think his profile and the way that he is ranked recruit-wise is going to continue to grow.
All right, so let me ask you this question. Why did Alabama, knowing that they've got Taulia Tagovailoa committed, they've got Coach Bryant's grandson, Paul Bryant Tyson, committed for the 2019 class, why did Nick Saban go out and sign another quarterback 4 days ago in Lane Hatcher, a gray shirt from Arkansas State? I mean, is this all about – because I look at that talent of 2019 with Taulia and Paul Tyson. We may never have to worry about quarterbacks here for a while. And they go out and they sign an Arkansas State gray shirt commitment. I'm trying to add it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to add it up, too. Ultimately, as you know, it's a numbers game. And ultimately, as you know, your numbers right now, you may be down one before the start of the season, right? Or you may be down one soon. I think he's probably potentially bracing for that. But I also think, knowing the way he operates, you can never have too many options at that position. And whether it's high-end talent or guys that are just going to fill up a roster spot, I think that's the way he looks now. Now, Taulia, by the way, as you know, was offered as a true freshman. So this has kind of been the plan in a while for some time. But he's not signed. Not saying that he's going to decommit. Every indication that I'm talking to him and his family is they are thrilled with Alabama, obviously, and he's going to end up there. But there's a lot hanging in the balance at that position. What's Jalen Hurts going to do? Who is ultimately going to actually end up there when it comes to returning? So you've got some sort of legacy commits, no doubt. But I still think if you're Nick Saban, I'm adding pieces, especially given kind of the volatility and the feel around your two main guys right now.
We're talking to Adam Kramer and BleacherReport.com. How committed do you think this family is to the University of Alabama just in whole? I mean, obviously you pick up 4,000 miles and move them. You look at Tua, you look at Taulia. It seems like they've bought into Nick Saban and the University of Alabama.
Absolutely are. I know, and we didn't talk about this. It came out after I had reported it, but I know there were reports that Taulia was thinking about transferring, that Tua was thinking about transferring, et cetera, et cetera. The vibe I got from this family was that they love life in Alabama. They've adjusted exceptionally well. The people have been incredible to them. I think they're still, as a whole, one of the things telling the story was, again, but you're not necessarily telling Tua's story, but it is the family story. And this is a family that's moved everybody here, and so it's been a major adjustment for everybody. They seem very, very happy. And even though they're celebrities in some sense and adjusting to that, I know they've said multiple times, Mr. Tagovailoa has said it is a blessing that we're in this position. So just think of what the last 6 months, 7 months have been like. And I think that's, again, it's all very positive. It's all very good. Everybody is happy. But I do think there is a weight to all this that has to be, hard to process as quickly as this can come for everybody. But in general, in terms of playing for Nick Saban, in terms of everything that's happened, they are, they're Alabamans now. They're in that state, and they seem thrilled about that.
Adam, did you get the sense that it's deeper than football with this family? Because I think it is for Tua. I just think this is a platform that he's been given. I think he's going to tie his faith into it. We saw him doing mission work last week in Hawaii. It's deeper than just football. Did you pick up that sense?
Well, yeah. Oh, my goodness, yes. I mean, this family is so close. At the core of it all is family, not football. And in many times it's the other way around. And I hope that makes sense. The football can be a priority. And I think their faith and each other and football really is in that order. And you could tell that just by talking to any of them, how fortunate they are and how much love there is. I think one of the really interesting things is, where you kind of, these things collide, and talking to Leah about the competition with Tua. These two are deeply competitive with one another. I used to check box scores in the newspaper. Tua would sit in, the film room to try and figure out what Leah was doing. They'd be comparing stats, so to speak, and before he was a quarterback, Leah was to a center. So football to them has always been something that they've done together. Leah was open about saying, I play this position because of Tua. I've modeled my game after him. I am who I am because of it. And I think, again, the family aspect is huge. And I think you take all of that and you add in great parents and just these incredibly vibrant and open, personalities. And man, oh man, yeah, you're absolutely right. These are great football players, but it somehow manages to feel secondary in a lot of ways.
Adam, let me just invite people to go and read the article. It's simple. Go to BleacherReport.com. Now, this is not one of your, 200-word article. This is lengthy piece. Yeah, it's and Adam does this. This is his specialty. Go to BleacherReport.com. Long, lengthy article about not just Tua's little brother, but Taulia Tagovailoa could be a future NFL #1 pick.
Yeah, and by the way, that's saying, June Jones, who coached him in high school, said that, and that kind of caught me off guard. And I had to ask June. I said, "Hey, June, are you talking about Tua or Taulia?" He's like, "Well, I'm talking about both of them." But if I think and that's a man that knows football. That is a man that knows quarterbacks and knows football. For him to say that about Taulia, that was striking to me in reporting this. How much faith the people around him think, how much faith they have in him and being a really star quarterback. So that was out of the words of one June Jones, man. And again, that's an opinion that when it comes to quarterbacks, we should listen.
Adam, I appreciate you, man, jumping on in just a short notice. I've enjoyed the article. I know it was a quick drop, and I just saw it right before the show started, and I said I got to reach out to Adam Kramer and see if we can grab him before anybody else will. And I appreciate you, man, for being a part of the show, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Of course, man. You too, bud. Talk soon.